Hey there, friends. Dana, known as Dana Spirit Butterfly here. Today we are doing the energy forecast to cover the new moon cycle. It's a new moon in Libra, starting on the 6th of October. We're going to use our psychic senses just to continue what we did last month, and also because I've been asked to drive some more focus around the fact that these psychic senses are accessible to all of us, and learning to read actually really does help with life. And so, before I go any further, I'd also just like to acknowledge that I'm on Bundjalung land of the Arawak people, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, recognizing that sovereignty was never ceded, and them the traditional owners are together here in this land that we share. My primary focus at the moment is to assist the Australian cohort of spiritual gurus and wisdom keepers to rise. And yes, that is essentially the sacred feminine from our perspective, for we perceive that the sacred feminine is the housing, is that which houses the innate senses, and it's that which you could say have been suppressed over centuries of manipulation and control dialogues, the end consequence of which we're now recognizing, and a really big part of healing and of exploring and expanding in our new technologies to acknowledge where we're at and how we got there. And this is a sacred practice, and so acknowledgement is really important. And so as I just did a welcome to country for the original nations, peoples here in Australia, it is with great respect that I do welcome that old, ancient technology that was equally balanced with beautiful wisdom gifted to the feminine lineage, and rebirthed over and over and over on this land. And as I say that, I'm just reminded that more and more I'm being asked to work less in the astral and more on the earth plane. And so the fact that I've worked more in psychic senses than ever is testament to that, because the psychic realm is much more grounded than the channel space. But we'll, maybe leave that as a topic for another day. But the Earth Mother, she's talking to us in new ways, and I just want to kind of flag with you the Melbourne earthquake. It happened not that long ago, and I believe there was also a big earthquake somewhere else in the world around the same time. The Earth Mother did say something to me just previous to it, like literally the day before, that Melbourne was about to receive a shake-up, and at the time I didn't fully understand that it meant the earthquake, but I'm just being reminded that this technology, the ability to perceive this before it happens, is actually accessible to all of us. But it does take a certain amount of a repair of our old systems. And so I started to open psychic development circles, and there's a new one on the 14th of October for Australia if you're interested, and if you're based in the States, because I know some of you still tune in from the States. I have a friend in the States who is willing to assist me with a class there, and so that would be on Wednesdays, but you do need to contact me to let me know that you're interested in that. So I call them spidey senses. It's way cooler also because it recognizes that these senses, these psychic senses, exist in subtle fields, what I call the subtle fields, psychic fields, subtle fields. And it's in the space that exists between us, but it's also multi-layered in our auric field or sensory experience. And so as I go through this channel today, I will be primarily relying on psychic senses. And we will, of course, go a little bit backwards in order to be able to show you where the lineage or the exercise of energy is heading forwards. These things actually do travel in a timeline, what we call timelines. So Spirit is also reminding me that not all of us are on the same timeline at the moment. And the challenge with that, we will go back. I do feel a sense of going backwards, so let's just go backwards. Spirit is just showing me a clock in my mind going backwards. And I get the sense of Cronus, the god of time. And if any of you know the story of Cronus, I actually saw the word Cronus, which is the spidey sense. Cronus, what I understand about Cronus, not that I'm an expert, is that he is the god of time, and he created time. And time in itself is a construct, and it's a construct that so many, when you're first exploring yourself in spirituality, you don't really, like there's a certain amount of recognition that life can exist outside of limitations, and a part of that involves time. And so time can technically speed up and slow down. And when you start to drop in a little bit further into the balanced form, which is the sacred feminine voicing herself through your own expression, through your psychic expression in balance with the already present, possibly needing some repair masculine energy of rational, tangible, tactile, present material stuff. When you find those two in balance, then you start to recognize that things don't just travel in a straight line from A to Z. Things actually travel more closely in a spiral, meaning that across your day, for example, you don't just wake up in the morning and go, okay, I'm going to do this thing today, and then everything goes smoothly according to plan, the plan that you've set out, everything goes like clockwork. And as you go through like clockwork, you start to reach your destination. And it's just due diligence and work that gets you there. Now, due diligence and work might get you there, but your trajectory moving forwards during the passage of your day might actually not consist, thanks Spirit, might not actually consist primarily of you traveling from A to Z in a straight line, only focusing on that. Because at some point you're going to have to eat. I don't know about you, but I like to eat. You know, I have a physical body and needs nourishment, so I like to eat. And occasionally I feel like I might want to break and get a cup of tea, and I might have a phone call, or I might realize that there's something that I was supposed to do yesterday that I didn't quite get, so I might go back to that. And so what we're essentially doing there is we're actually shifting timelines. So we're no longer just heading in one direction with one plan, with one experience. We're now looping through some of the things that we were planning yesterday, or someone else's timeline because they called you and you've had an interaction, and now their experience is starting to bleed into your own experience. And your experience, of course, in return, possibly, maybe not, who knows what your conversations look like. But either way, all of these things start to loop. And so you'll start to notice that as you're traveling forwards, things don't exist in a straight line. And if you can suspend your belief and judgment that you don't have enough time for stuff, sometimes magically you can just squeeze things in. And so Spirit is just saying, in the first instance, we want to emphasize that not all of us are on the same timeline. So not all of us are aware of the same principles of life, the same principles of mechanics in the quantum field. Not all of us have the same technology wielded through our energetic system. So on a heart level, on a mental level, in my womb space, in the various chakra points, my energetic systems, my ancestral blood lineage, like all of these things are all unique to us as souls. And so each soul has a specific voice and a specific timing, and that timing might be out of a directional A to Z timeline. It's the truth. Nobody tells you. And so we are going through a period at the moment where there's like 7 planets in retrograde. Planets that are in retrograde appear to go backwards. They don't actually go backwards, but they give the appearance that something is regressing or something is going backwards. So that would be the in this now moment time, and Spirit is still giving me this through psychic space, that the thing that I was supposed to do yesterday, I realized I didn't get to do it yesterday, and now I'm doing it now. And so you might notice that at the moment there is energy from your past life. I believe past life is probably, from a soul's perspective, this moment backwards. So from your soul's perspective, your energy may not have resolved all that it needed to, and it may have some legacy stuff that's left behind. And so when planets are in retrograde, often these things start to reappear. And the major planet that's been in retrograde for like 6 months is Saturn, which regulates karma, the karmic grids that exist between us. And so these are really big players in our astral fields. And the astral fields is like a magnetic resonance or a push or a pull energy, a directional kind of inclination, that means that we're more likely to head in those spaces rather than maybe other spaces. So for example, when Mercury is in retrograde, you're more likely to have misunderstandings and miscommunications than when Mercury isn't in retrograde. You're more likely to have computer glitches and things going wrong with your phone, and difficulties communicating and expressing yourself in clear ways. These types of things, they may not be a problem most of the time, but suddenly you start to find that you're having even more trouble than ever, and the people who seem to be pulled in front of you are those that seem to exacerbate this miscommunication. These are the inclinations that appear through the Mercury retrograde, and indeed through the Saturn retrograde, we find that the people who arrive in front of us, the things that we're magnetically pulled to that just seem to have like an extra resonance, they're designed to stimulate certain disharmonic resonances, or things you don't like about yourself, or things that you may conveniently have wanted to forget because you're hoping that you would get away with whatever it is that happened in the past and not have to redress it or somehow balance the scales. And also Spirit is just reminding me, you also have past life. You also have past life trauma that so many of us have gathered, and contracts often that say that we have ancestral DNA strands that need repair. And so during these periods of time, those circumstances come up. Now, they are a blessing in disguise from a spiritual development perspective, and Spirit is just giving me a light bulb moment that aha. Quite often you'll find that when an event has happened in your life and it's been good, bad, or ugly, whatever, it's not until hindsight that you start to realize the true value in why that came into your life. For example, I had quite a serious workplace injury, and it left me unable to use my hands for a significant period of time. And at the time I suffered deeply, but now I have identified it as being one of the most incredible experiences of my life, because it really highlighted some things that needed to leave. And it really highlighted where I was sabotaging my own energy and experience to support others who probably didn't give a rat's ass about those things that I was taking special effort to do. And so without those things, my energy would have continued along those trajectories. And now I understand about the nature of energy and about the nature of the human condition way beyond anything that most people generally have need to know. I also get the sense of need to know really strongly. The reflection, of course, is that the need to know is actually how the universe is designed. So a lot of us might drift away and start to think about all the things that we could possibly get into and all the things that we could possibly come across as we move forwards. But the truth is that we don't all need to know all the answers to all the questions that we have, and we don't all have to have the same experiences. So often we have experiences that might seem to overlap someone else's, but theirs is deeper than ours. And failure to see that can cause miscommunication in a Mercury retrograde. So anyway, I'm bringing Baruch back now into the center. And so we want to talk a little bit more about the now moment. So let's just mention that we're heading into a new moon in Libra. Libra is an air sign. Air signs tend to be particularly heady. The moon cycle, of course, is lunar energy or frequency is often about reflection. And it's often designed to show light on the things that we may not want to be seeing. And the reason why I say, well, I should probably, like when I say I don't want to be seeing it, I want to kind of make the distinction of, one is my attitude of I don't want to deal with that because I'm not ready, and the other is I don't want to deal with that because it's not my problem. And so sometimes the distinction is really important to tune in and to figure out which one is true, because avoidance strategies are usually the things that call things back into recall when it is something that I really do need to address, because it is my soul lesson to learn. And again, development of spidey senses and understanding how the psychic fields work actually really do assist with the process of being able to make better decisions for yourself, and knowing which pies to stick your fingers in and which ones to just say thanks but no thanks, I'm going to gift that to someone else to deal with. This is an art form, if you will, and it's a sensitive, subtle feeling that you can navigate successfully when you have the tools and the self-awareness through your own spidey senses and psychic senses to work through. So the new moon in Libra is really about equality. It's often about indecisiveness. This new moon specifically will be, there'll be a lot of oscillating in the field, which basically means that one day you will feel like everything's good and you're clear on everything and things are fine. And then the next day it'll be like, I'm not sure actually if that's true for me. And so there'll be this oscillating in the field, left and right, up and down. Spirit is saying that this is still a part of the shake-up of the end of the karma cycle that Saturn in retrograde has been offering us, and there's usually a bit of a follow over to from the it stationing direct, which will happen on the 10th of October. And so Spirit is saying also be careful of what you wish for, because at the moment many of you are asking for things that are impractical for your now moment, meaning that you keep asking for things that are up high in the sky ideals, and then somehow you have this expectation that because I want it, I can manifest it, and if I can't manifest it now, then it means that I'm not worthy. And it becomes this, we would call Dungeons and Dragons diatribe in your head about how you're not worthy. And Spirit is saying that at the moment, most of us are having a hard time manifesting what we want. It's part of the karmic grid shifting and changing. It's part of the astral alignment with the solar flares and the increasing light that's been on the planet, increasingly so. We are being lifted into the new reality. And the new reality is a lighter one, but you can't get there if you don't shed your denser baggage. And denser baggage is actually the physical vehicle, which is your body. And it is, Spirit is really just, again, I'm getting this sense of emphasis in my head. We want to emphasize that a good spiritual practice does invite love and invite light and invite lightness and joy and being and revel and bliss and pleasure and all of those really amazing, beautiful things. That's the spice of life. But do you know, you get more of it the more you actually go under the mountain to clear some of the baggage. If you don't, it will keep biting you. And so many of you who are attracted to these types of videos, you want to move out of the feelings of pain that have been with you for a while. You know what I mean. I don't feel like I need to emphasize that. Your pain will be specific to you, whether it's emotional, whether it relates to being unloved by your parents or feeling abandoned by a partner in the past, or, you know, whatever it relates to. In my experience, it's rare that any person has just one main incident in their life that still represents something that's painful for them. What I can say is that pain will feel most strongest when you are present with your body. In this environment, if you cannot stay present with your body, and if you cannot take care of your body with this increasing light, then your body will bite you as you start to ascend with more positive love and vibes. Your body will bite you. They are Dharma's words. Spirit wants to say your body will bite you. And it's not a pleasant feeling. The only way is to go under the mountain. You can't wish that stuff away. And Spirit is just moving me forwards to the end of the month. We will get to the full moon in a minute. The full moon's actually quite a fiery one, but the new moon is actually a new moon in Scorpio. It'll be on the 5th of November. So this is from the 6th of October until the 5th of November, Australian time. What we specifically want to say with that is Scorpios are often all about pleasure. And so, but Scorpions also have a tail that bites. And so when they don't get what they want, that they deeply desire, they can be nasty, almost to the point of narcissistic. Now, I'm not calling you all Scorpions, and I'm not saying that all Scorpios are like that, because a lot of Scorpios are really deep divers. They have beautiful wisdom to gather and to give, and they often suffer in the process of embodying it. So a lot of Scorpios do carry around a lot of pain alongside a lot of Cancerians, typically. Of course, these are, you know, boxes of energy. They aren't, you know, omnipresently true for everybody, but these are the tendencies again, the tendencies or influences. And so what we're trying to say is that from Libra to Scorpio, there'll be a transit that means that there'll be a lot of passion in the field. There'll be a lot of inside fighting. And so what that might look like, because there'll still be the Mercury Retrograde runs until the 18th of October, which takes us almost up to the full moon. So from the 6th of October right up until the 18th and a little bit beyond, there'll be a lot of sparring between people. So there'll be a lot of kind of short tempers, things that rise suddenly in the moment, and then it'll seem to dissipate. And this is just the last of that karmic bridge between the old denser vibration and that new possible potential. Now, when we talk about the new possible potential, you may hear us spiritual people talking about the fractured reality, the fact that there seems to be two main timelines on the planet, those that seem to choose to continue to dwell in the lower spheres of the punishment reward system, and those of us who actually are on the path of love, basically, because love is the harmonic balancer, which recognizes diversity, which recognizes that we're not separate, but we're also differentiated. It recognizes that we are all a part of this big picture, and we all have some responsibility towards its resolution. But it's also a sign that moves really quickly. And Spirit said before about how, planning to do something and it not necessarily turning out the way that you had planned. Sometimes this is actually the best thing for the cosmic grid. Sometimes the plans that you have laid that you need to enact through your life now, the reason why they're called to you is not actually so that you can see them through to fruition. It's so that you can start a chain of events to get where you're going. And so there is a lot of leftover baggage from trauma of past life that needs to be cleansed simply through the failing of businesses. And the failing of businesses, quite often, particularly in this modern world where, the emphasis on family and monogamy and building the home unit, it's there, but it's not as important as a person's self-actualization. And a lot of business entrepreneurs, people who work for themselves or, subcontract, but essentially hold their own space, the moment this is a troubling time for them to find their voice. Now, a part of the sacred feminine rising is actually the allowance of each independent voice to rise without interference. And so we are figuring out how to do that, and we are continuing to build the structures on a community level that will allow that, but also continue some level of coherency on a community level. So what that means is that there are individuals that really have special gifts and things that need to come out that may seem to overlap someone else's, but resonance is actually king here. And so the client base that we all need isn't as large as we all want, but it's available for all of us, because we're not all supposed to work with the same people over and over for the rest of our lives in the one occupation. And so, because this is the old legacy of the old world belief system, which is, punishment reward system, whatever. But it's also that idea that, when I'm born and I'm a man and I have a purpose and I end up in cabinet making because my dad was a cabinet maker, and I spent my whole life doing that. And in doing that, that's my life, that's what I have reason to expect. And that's what's tied to that, or what's still carrying over, is this belief that I need one purpose and only one purpose. My whole life is actually where the bee's knees is. It's like the pinnacle of all things that I'm achieving. And that connected to that is this fixed customer base that I always take care of and that will always be with me. In the modern business sense, this is not true. This is actually not even a part of the current paradigm of the way money works and flows, and how attention spans are, and how our technology is flowing through us. So Spirit is just reminding me that as souls, we all travel through our lives collecting, coins from all the different people that we feel like we need to collect coins to. And at the end of our life, we'll have a pile of coins, and those coins won't all come from the one source. We're not designed to collect our coins or our wealth from one, one-stop shop. But there is a paradigm on the planet that believes that, and the flip side of that is that sometimes we can convince ourselves that I need to be all things for all customers, and it's not true, and it's not healthy, and it's not helpful. And this is something that's going to be rubbed the wrong way during this month. So wrapping up spidey senses, I'm getting drawn to my car because I can see my car out there. My nice blue car. So blue car, the vehicle is the physical body. Blue for me talks about the third eye, the pineal gland. I do feel like expect some explosive changes on the level of the third eye. I also get the sense of being drawn into collective intelligence. So that would be the intelligence that flows between you and me and him and her and all of us, kind of in a weave or a web of association. That is being upgraded. And a part of that is a shedding process of letting go of old connections that just don't resonate with you anymore and being upgraded to the new. The process of that though can be really painful, and as I say that, I can see the ring just sitting behind my my camera there, and I get this sense of the ring being containment. And so I feel like at this point the primary focus for this month is really to understand what you want in your sphere, the types of people you like to hang out with, the types of activities that give you joy and pleasure, the type of person that you want to be. All of these questions are actually a part of leading into the new year. So we are heading into October, November. Clearly it's like the last quarter of the year. I get the sense of the 22nd of December, of course, being a pivotal change point for a lot of people, not just because it's Christmas and New Year and the lead up to, but it's also summer solstice here, and it'll be winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. And so I get the sense that the work that we're doing now is actually leading up into December, and so a lot of us really just need to be really good at calling out the things that involve the people in our lives and who we're choosing to associate with. Spirit is just reminding me that with all of the dialogues around the vaccine and, public policy, this is already showing you the people who are in alignment with you and not on some level. It's not about whether to or not to. It's actually about whether or not this person is able to hold their own view and respect their own perspective, while also acknowledging that I have the right and the ability to make my own. The right and the ability. This is really important to understand because we are breaking the cycle of unconscious life choices. The Earth Mother, as I feel her stepping in, is so profoundly, deeply sad at how we are just minions following, not all of us obviously, but there are so many minions on the planet at the moment that have so no relationship with her in any direct sense. The idea of them taking their gloves off and sticking their hands in the ocean even, let alone the soil, disgusts them. This is a problem. It's a problem because that is life. And if I have no innate desire to reach out and be in touch physically with nature, then I'm likely to be disconnected from my own nature and the nature in others. And this is a form of blindness that is killing the balance of things. So with that, expect chaos, but you've already been there. There's been a lot of chaos. Last month, there was a healing potential that many of you did experience. Some of it was a bit stressful, and that stress is actually in service to you if you can pause and breathe for a minute and appreciate why. There will be a continuance of people leaving the planet and leaving your life. There will be a continuance of people making choices that no longer sit in alignment with the choices you make for yourself. Be tough on yourself only in so much as you insist that you respect your own boundaries and you respect that which is that which you choose with conscious consent. And the rest, we will say, have a great month. We will, of course, post the information of the dates down in the video. We also will put the information about the Psychic Development Circle if that interests you. And so if you have enjoyed this video and would like to know more about my work, you can visit my website at www.danaspiritbutterfly.com, and please subscribe and hit the follow button, which is the bell-shaped button. That will help to get more people to see me and like me, because that's apparently what this is about. I'm joking, of course. I'll do these anyway because I love you and you've shown up here, and we're here to be of service to you in the best way that we can. So kisses. Until next time, my loved ones, have a great lunar cycle. See you.